Stellar transformation takes place in a kingdom called Qin, and at the beginning of this anime, the ruler of the kingdom, Qin Dai, is seen planting a tree with his youngest son, the third prince, Qin Yu. Qin Dai loved the cheerful Qin Yu, but because a divine elder, whom he called Feng, had him send Qin Yu to train in a remote mountainous area with his grandfather Lian, they had to part ways with him for the time being. 2 years had passed since then, until one day Qin Yu was overjoyed to hear that his father was going to visit him. But before he left for where he would meet his father, Lian gave him a gift in the form of a bird, which he named Xiao He. He was so happy to have the bird that he took it to the meeting place. Even so, Lian was worried about letting him just go alone with a bird, so he sent 3 of his men to guard Qin Yu secretly. Sometime later, Qin Yu finally arrived at the rendezvous point, but after waiting for so long, Qin Dai never came. Even so, Qin Yu continued to wait for him until he fell asleep on top of the cliff. Finally, the day turned to dusk. Feeling sorry for him, still waiting, Lian took Qin Yu back to the dojo. The next day, while Qin Yu was playing with Xiao He in the forest, he suddenly heard someone screaming for help. It turned out that the voice came from a girl who was being chased by a beast. The girl was with her brother when the beast attacked them, but her brother couldn't do anything about it. Hearing that, Qin Yu tried to help by headbutting the beast, and miraculously, he managed to get rid of it. At least that's what he believed, because it wasn't really him who scared the beast, but his guards secretly helping him from a distance. Regardless, the 2 strangers thought it was Qin Yu who chased the beast away, so they thanked him before introducing themselves. The boy was Tisen, while the girl was his sister, Tai Xiao. Both were from Taijia, a village not far from there. Qin Yu was overjoyed to meet them and even accepted their invitation to come with them to their village. That's understandable because he has never had any friends, so he didn't want to waste the opportunity when they invited him to play with them. After tired of playing, they rested while taking shelter under the rock walls, which is when a man riding a tiger came to them. It turned out the man was from Lian's dojo, and he had come to tell Qin Yu that his 2 older brothers had come to the dojo to see him. Without wasting any time, Qin Yu met his brothers at the hot spring. Here it is seen that his brothers are sometimes nosy to him, but they are very fond of him, and he also loved them very much. He even sobbed when his brothers went home, but that wasn't the only cause of his sadness. Qin Yu remembered why his father had sent him to train at Lian's place. It was because he was born without any cultivation power, which made him unable to use his inner strength. He then thought that maybe this is why his father had never visited him even once since he had lived on that mountain. So in the evening, Qin Yu prayed that the gods would make him as strong as his brothers. That way he too can make Qin Dai proud of him. A moment later, Qin Yu saw a shooting star that reminded him of an internal training method. So he rushed to Lian and asked him to teach him about it. Here Lian tried to explain to Qin Yu about the 3 levels after one mastered the cultivation process. To conquer all of those levels, one had to pass through difficult obstacles, especially Tian Dao Ziren, which many people failed to pass. But if one could overcome all obstacles, especially if they could master the last level, people would respect them. But so far, only 3 people have been able to reach that level, one of whom was Feng. Hearing that explanation, Qin Yu was even more excited. He was determined to reach the final level, following in the footsteps of the 3 greats. But Lian knew it would be very difficult for him, who couldn't use the power of cultivation, to reach the last level. So Lian suggested that he strengthen his outer body by practicing physical martial arts. The next day, Lian gathered 8 strong men, of which Qin Yu was asked to choose one of them to be his teacher. However, here he innocently requested that they all be his teacher. Of course, Lian refused, arguing that if he learned all of their techniques at once, it would only set his body on fire. He understood Lian's intentions, so he asked the 8 people to show their skill and strength. Nearly all of them were truly powerful, and each of them possessed extraordinary abilities. Then Qin Yu chose General Zhao as his teacher, even though he just stood still, without showing the slightest bit of his strength. After that, Lian gave Qin Yu a box containing many scrolls that could help him learn about cultivation, but he really doesn't have any cultivation power, so it's hard for him to store the energy in his body, even though he has practiced what he reads on the scrolls. Realizing that, Qin Yu went to see Zhao the next day to start practicing martial arts, but Zhao instead punished Qin Yu by making him run all the way to the bottom of the mountains. And as if that wasn't enough, at the bottom Zhao was already there, and he immediately told him to run back up the stairs to the top. Despite being extremely exhausted, Qin Yu was able to reach its peak. Apparently, Zhao had his own reasons for telling him to run like that. That was because he intended to train Qin Yu with extreme methods, and the running session earlier was only one part of the training portion. However, that doesn't necessarily make Qin Yu flinch. He swore to Zhao that he would never give up as long as he was trained by him, no matter how hard his methods were. Zhao turned out to be really serious about what he said. He trained Qin Yu very hard and even told him to face a beast alone. 1 year had passed since Qin Yu trained with Zhao, But now they had to separate because the king summoned Zhao back. After Zhao's departure, Qin Yu had to train alone. Despite being sad about parting with him, Qin Yu accepted the decision. He even promised Zhao that he wouldn't let him down. Upon his return to the capital, Zhao went to Qin Dai to report on Qin Yu's progress. According to him, Qin Yu made a lot of progress while training with him, but still it would take him about 30 years before he mastered cultivation. After reporting to Qin Dai, he looks up at the sky while praying for Qin Yu's success in training. As for Qin Yu, he continued to train hard after Zhao left. Even after 3 years had passed, he continued to practice. Only after that period had passed did he begin to dare to challenge the tree wolf monster that he had never been able to defeat before. The strenuous training he had been undergoing was finally paying off. Now he can defeat the beast easily. One day, Qin Yu's 3 bodyguards lost track of him somehow. They still couldn't find him no matter where they searched, so they had to report to Lian about their failure to escort Qin Yu. The scene then changes to Qin receiving a letter from Lian, who reports that Qin Yu's 3 bodyguards requested that they be allowed to return to the royal capital since they can't keep up with Qin Yu's speed right now. He was overjoyed to hear the news, thinking that Qin Yu had grown up and didn't need an escort anymore. Meanwhile, Qin Yu, who has now mastered martial arts, feels he needs a weapon for close combat, and coincidentally, he stumbled across a hidden page on his practice scroll from which came a hologram in the shape of a man. The hologram then informs him of a dangerous technique that can be useful for killing opponents, hiding the sword before using it to kill without the opponent knowing. Long story short, Qin Yu learned the technique, which was named Yusi, and practiced it using the stone statues on the mountain. But when he practiced it on a statue, his sword broke. It made him think that he really needed a strong sword. Later that night, Qin Yu remembered a weapon called the fish sword in the palace, which he thought was compatible with Yusi's technique. The next day, Qin Yu decided to go to the capital with Xiaohe, but before that, he first stopped by Taijia village to say goodbye to Tisun in Taishao, promising to bring gifts for them when he returned from the capital. He didn't realize that while talking with the 2 siblings, a mysterious masked man was secretly watching the village from a distance. After several days of traveling, Qin Yu finally arrived at the palace in the capital. He was greeted by an elder named Gei, who thought he had come to see Qin Dai. Gei regretted his untimely arrival because Qin Dai was currently on the battlefield. Qin Yu then informed Gei that he had not come to the palace to meet his father, but to pick up a sword. And so, Gei led him into a forbidden room containing many weapons, one of which was the fish sword he wanted. But at the same time as he took the sword, the masked man seen earlier had entered Taijia village. After taking the sword with him, Qin Yu returned to the mountain. But unfortunately, before he arrived, Taijia village was attacked by the masked man who turned out to be a bandit. What's worse is that he brought his bandits to the village, where they massacred anyone they could see indiscriminately, including the father of Tisun and Taishao. Fortunately, when they were about to kill the 2 siblings, Qin Yu had already arrived at the village, and he immediately helped them. Although he was a little late, one of the bandits had slashed his machete at Tixiao and severed her hand. Realizing that Qin Yu had decent skills, the bandit leader introduced himself as Bai Shan of the Black Wind sect. Perhaps he hoped that Qin Yu would duel him after he introduced himself. However, Qin Yu paid no attention to Bai Shan's self-introduction and gave the gift he promised to Taishao. Then with an angry voice, he swore he would destroy Bai Shan as punishment for what he did to the villagers. Knowing that Qin Yu was serious, Bai Shan took his sword and attacked him. But Qin Yu could dodge his attack easily. It didn't even take him much effort to kill Bai Shan. Seeing their leader dies in disgrace, the bandits immediately ran away. However, Qin Yu decided not to chase after them, which confused Tisun. Why didn't he kill the rest of the bandits when he could easily kill the leader? Here Qin Yu, who had just killed a human for the first time, felt that the bandits had already received enough punishment with the death of their leader. He didn't want to smear his hands with more blood by killing the rest of the bandits, but Tieshan didn't agree with his idea. It was true that killing was wrong. He knew that too. But Taishan was afraid that if they let the bandits escape, sooner or later, they would return for revenge and kill more villagers. But Qin Yu remained unmoved, even though Taishan kept trying to persuade him by saying that they had to kill the bandits to protect the village. Later that night, Qin Yu asked Tisan and Tieshao to come with him and stay at the Lian residence because, after all, their parents had already died at the hands of the bandits. It would be difficult for them if they were just the two. But before they could discuss it any further, they heard the screams of the villagers telling them that the bandits were back. Sure enough, the bandits came back led by Bai Shan's brother Wu Qi, who ordered his men to release fire arrows. Seeing the fire engulfing the villagers' houses, Qin Yu finally realized that Tisan was right. They had to kill the bandits. Otherwise, they would keep coming back. With that, he started to attack Wu Qi, but his attacks did not affect him. Instead, Wu Qi threw him away. Realizing that he would not be able to defeat Wu Qi, Qin Yu chose to use another strategy. He kept running to dodge Wu Qi's attacks while at the same time killing his men. Annoyed that his opponent didn't want to face him, Wu Qi then threatened he would kill all the villagers if Qin Yu kept avoiding him. Hearing the threat, Qin Yu finally approached Wu Qi and accepted his challenge. Yet Wu Qi proved to be stronger than him. He beats Qin Yu without giving him a chance to strike back, forcing Qin Yu to use Yu Xi's sword technique to kill him. Thus, the night ended with Qin Yu massacring all those bandits. Several years later, Qin Yu grew into a strong man, and so did Xiao He, who grew into a giant bird. Soon he will even celebrate his coming-of-age ceremony. And it wasn't just them who grew up. Tai Xiao had also turned into a beautiful young woman. The scene switches to a man who dreams of being killed by Qin Dai. The man was the king of another country. Chu worried his dream would come true one day. Therefore, he decided to send his men to infiltrate the ceremony to be held by King Qindir to find out his plans. On the day Qin Yu's coming-of-age ceremony was held, he invited guests to come to the palace. On this happy day, his eldest brother Qin Feng is in charge of welcoming the guests, and one of the guests was a big man named San Guanhong. Seeing his arrival, Qin Feng immediately reported to Qin Dai, asking his father to hurry to meet his guest of honor. San Guanhong was the king of a neighboring country. His coming to Qin was to attend Qin Yu's ceremony and to discuss the possibility of his kingdom joining forces with Qin to attack the Chu kingdom. Incidentally, Qin Dai also wanted to destroy the Chu kingdom, so he accepted San Guanhong's proposal without a second thought. Meanwhile, Qin Yu still hadn't arrived at the Qin king's palace. Well, that's because now he is working as an assassin nicknamed Tian Wang. And on his way to the capital city, he meets the person he wants to kill, Hao Tan, a criminal who often blackmails the villagers. Yes, even though he had grown into a man and chose to wear an Assassin's Creed-style cosplay in action, Qin Yu still adhered to his principle of eliminating bad people. He believes that every time he kills one bad person, it means he saves hundreds of innocent people. And so, without the slightest hesitation, he killed Hao Tan. That night, Qin Yu arrived at the palace, finally allowing the celebration party to begin. He felt guilty for arriving late, so he apologized to Qin Dai after the ceremony. Qin Dai forgave him, and then he took Qin Yu to a secret room underground to show him the statue of their ancestor, the first king of Qin, who was famous for being very great. One time, the great king was defeated by the first king of Chu in one great war, making the Qin kingdom gradually belittled by other kingdoms. But the defeat of the first king of Qin at that time was more due to the king of the Chu kingdom being assisted by cultivation masters, not because of his weakness. That's why Qin Dai now intends to avenge their ancestors by destroying the Chu kingdom. In addition, he wanted to avenge the death of his wife, who was killed by the assassins sent by the king of Chu, Shang Huang. Seeing that, Qin Yu and his brothers agreed to help realize his father's plan to attack the Chu kingdom. But unfortunately, Qin Dai did not allow him to participate. Apart from the fact that the Qin kingdom's strength is still inferior to the Chu kingdom, he thinks Qin Yu is still not strong enough. At the very least, he wanted Qin Yu to reach the last stage of cultivation before he helped him deal with the Chu kingdom. Although disappointed to be refused to participate, Qin Yu couldn't help but succumb to his father's wishes. One night when Qin Yu and Xiao He were on top of a cliff, they suddenly saw a red glowing crystal falling from the sky. And just as he was about to take the red crystal, a giant monster attacked him as if it wanted the mysterious crystal too. Fortunately, Xiao He joined him against the monster, allowing him to obtain the red crystal. He did not know what the use or benefit of the crystal was, but to his surprise, it fused into his body. Even more amazingly, when Qin Yu was cultivating, he felt the crystal help absorb the energy around him. It even absorbed too much energy that Qin Yu thought he would die from it. But a moment later, the power of the crimson crystal seemed to be helping him by repairing the blood vessels that had been shattered from absorbing too much energy. In the end, the crystal became very useful for Qin Yu in his practice, because he could absorb far more energy than usual. He even believed that soon his strength would equal his brother's, and then his father would allow him to join the war. Half a year later, Qin Yu finally reached the first of the 3 cultivation levels thanks to the help of the magic crystal. This was much faster than his teacher, Zhao, had predicted that he would take 30 years before reaching that level. One day while training with Xiao He, the monster that had once targeted the red crystal reappeared and attacked Qin Yu. But he, who has grown much stronger, can defeat the monster without any problems. He was so strong, he even shattered rock cliffs while fighting with it. But apparently, the cliff holds a large red crystal stone behind it, which is visible to the eye as soon as the cliff blocking it shatters and falls. The scene then shows us the intruders from the Chu kingdom who have entered the Qin capital. After gathering information, they sent a letter to their king, Shang Huang, informing him that the Qin kingdom was planning to destroy the Chu kingdom. The news was also confirmed by San Guanhong, who betrayed Qin Dai. He even leaked all of Qin Dai's plans to Shang Huang through a letter. In anticipation of Qin's attack, Xiang Huang ordered his confidants to ask the Black Waters bandits for help. Meanwhile, Qin Yu brought the crystal stone he had found before his family and court officials. The stone, however, was extremely sturdy and indestructible. Even the chief blacksmith of the kingdom, San Feng, couldn't put the slightest scratch on it in any way, leading him to suspect that the stone was a weapon material with god-level power. His guess was that perhaps only people who had reached level 3 of cultivation could destroy these crystal stones. Therefore, Qin Yu decided to ask Feng for help, who apparently recognized the crystal stone. In his opinion, it was a flaming ironstone. Indeed, it could be made into linki, weapons possessing spirit power. Feng then asks him what linki he wants, to which he replies he just wants his weapons strengthened and a pair of gloves. If there were any unused remnants of the stones, he wanted them to be given to Qin Dai. Feng was willing to make what Qin Yu asked for as long as he could get some of the iron stones, and Qin Yu allowed him to take it. His kindness touched Feng, who then promised to grant his every wish. Qin Yu seemed don't know what to ask. In the end, he just asked Feng to tell him what he needed to do to reach the highest level. And here's Feng's explanation. To reach the highest level is very difficult because one has to go through 49 misfortunes and 2 great misfortunes first. And to achieve immortality, one has to experience hundreds of misfortunes. But if they failed, one would turn into nothing but ashes. Then while burning the iron stone, Feng declared his intention to Qin Yu to raise his rank to be immortal. And he was sure he could do it more easily if he could make linki from the iron stone that Qin Yu had given him. Next, he told Qin Yu about the great battle between the cultivation masters against the mysterious figure on the Qinlong cultivation island, which ended in the masters' deaths. It is said that the mysterious figure has the power like the sun that can burn the sky and destroy the earth. In the end, the tough guy died after being struck by lightning while trying to raise his level. But before he died, he formed 3 diagrams spread across Qinlong Island. The 3 diagrams contain the stellar transformation, giving anyone who learns it a way to obtain the sun. After hearing all that, Qin Yu intends to exceed his own limits while waiting for Feng to finish burning the iron stone and make his order. Elsewhere, Qin Dai finally finds out that the king of Chu has sent spies to the capital. He now felt no presence of anyone watching him, but he remained vigilant for fear that the spy would return at any moment. Over the next few days, Feng continued to burn the iron stone to create linki, while Qin Yu focused on training. But at some point, Qin Yu became frustrated because he had now reached the final stage of the first level and had a hard time reaching the second level. He didn't even know how he could level up. But after a moment of contemplation, while looking at the night sky, Qin Yu remembered what Lian had said once, that he had to be able to understand nature, heaven, and earth if he wanted to develop. So by following his advice, Qin Yu continued his cultivation. Lian's method proved to be very effective. When Qin Yu opened his eyes, his vision turned sharper. And not only that, but his hearing ability and range increased sharply. At first, he thought what he saw and heard was just a hallucination, but then he realized that he had made it to the second level. Almost at the same time, Feng finally finished burning the iron stone, which now looks like the stone has changed shape into several weapons and accessories, including the sword and gauntlet Qin Yu ordered. Then, Feng showed his swords to Qin Dai before giving the rest to the king, who was overjoyed to hear that the swords were gifts from Qin Yu. So happy he even promised to give him a reward in return. But when he tried to find Qin Yu, he couldn't find him. It turned out that Qin Yu had gone somewhere as soon as he took the sword and gloves he ordered from Feng. The next scene then shows us where Qin Yu is going. Apparently, he went in his assassin outfit to meet a woman with an eye patch, who gave him a mission to kill spies from the Chu kingdom. When Qin Yu found the spy, Zhenshu, he saw him holding the heaven diagram that Zhenshu planned to give to his king. But he didn't think much about the diagram now. He came to kill Zhenshu. So he appeared in front of Zhenshu, who ordered his brothers to fight him. Qin Yu had already reached the same level as them, and with his linky gloves, he could defeat them all at once. On the other hand, Zhenshu was furious to see his 2 younger siblings dead. He then attacked Qin Yu with incredible speed. In fact, his speed even surpassed Qin Yu's, making it very difficult for him to attack back. However, that was because Qin Yu had been wearing weights on his hands and feet all this time. Indeed, using them doesn't make sense when working as an assassin, but regardless, he could match Zhenshu's speed after removing the weights on his legs and arms. They then clashed fiercely until he finally managed to kill Zhenshu using Yuxi's sword technique. And it turns out that the fight between the two was witnessed by the eye patch woman from a distance. The scene then switches to 2 old men wearing white and black clothes who meet a man with a head covering. They informed him that Zhenshu had been killed by the assassin. Meanwhile, King Xiang Huang was furious in the Chu kingdom when he knew that Zhenshu had been killed. He vowed to take revenge on the Qin kingdom no matter what. To that end, he summoned a commander named Yi Feng and ordered him to meet a man who had captured a rare beast. Shang Huang wanted to get the beast and was willing to exchange it for another diagram that the Chu kingdom had. On the other hand, Qin Yu was still wondering what the use of the heaven diagram he had snatched from Zhenshu was, but he still didn't find the answer until morning. Then he finally decided to return to the capital. The scene then moved again to Yi Feng, who had found the beast catcher, Zhu San. Without further ado, he passed the diagram to him, but just as the Chu soldiers were about to take the beast, Lian suddenly appeared, creating poisonous smoke surrounding them. He came accompanied by two men dressed in black, who instantly killed Zhu San before attacking the Chu soldiers. But just as they were slaughtering the soldiers, a sharp thread suddenly shot through the head of one of the men in black, killing him instantly. It turned out that the thread came from Yi Feng's father, Yi Qingyu, who was somehow dressed like this. Even so, he is a formidable fighter and an old enemy of Lian, as seen from the course of the duel between them moments later. While they were fighting, the battle between Yi Feng and the black-robed man was also happening. The two battles were so intense that Qin Yu saw their clash of energies, who was far away. Without having to think twice, he then went there. Unfortunately, not long after that, Yi Qingyu tied Lian with the threads before showering him with thousands of needles. However, even though he was being hit by an attack, Lian could still unleash a fatal blow that hit him. As a result, their fight ended in a draw. Yi Qingyu died, and so did Lian, who breathed his last in Qin Yu's arms. Enraged at his beloved teacher's death, Qin Yu went on a rampage by massacring all the Chu soldiers in the vicinity, including Yi Feng. After returning to the capital, Qin Yu was still devastated by Lian's death. He shut himself up and refused to be visited by anyone, not even Qin Dai. But one day, Qin Yu returns to normal after realizing his behavior will disappoint Lian. And he didn't want Lian to be disappointed if he saw him from up there. So he started practicing again. But before that, he tried to fuse the heaven diagram into his body. He was a little surprised by the result. It turned out that the diagram could change the form of the energy that radiated through his arms. However, the diagram had no negative effect on his body, so he started practicing to master the energy. After mastering it, Qin Yu placed the heaven diagram in the weapon room, where he sensed strange energy emanating from a box. Curious, he opened the box, the second diagram that Yi Feng had previously held. And what surprised him even more, he found another diagram hidden behind the bottom of the box. Qin Yu didn't have time to analyze the two diagrams because now he had to go underground. Previously, Qin Yu's father had asked his entire family and trusted officials to gather there because he had something to announce. And the news was that Qin Dai would soon be going through 49 hurdles to advance to level 3. He knew that if he failed, he would die, but he was confident that he could overcome the obstacles. Hearing that, his 3 children couldn't help but feel worried for him, but he immediately calmed them down. Then he began to divide the tasks. He asked Qin Yu's older brothers to temporarily replace him in commanding the kingdom, while Feng would accompany him. Only Qin Yu didn't get orders, and he was clearly dissatisfied. So he demanded Qin Dai let him come with him. His request was, of course, rejected. He didn't want someone who hadn't even reached level 2 like Qin Yu to come with him. It would be too dangerous for him. Qin Yu hadn't told Qin Dai that he had advanced to the second level, so he was now trying to show his strength by clashing blows with the black-robed old man. But unfortunately, even though he won, his father still wouldn't allow him to come with him. No doubt the rejection made Qin Yu disappointed. Even though he had trained until he could reach level 2, his father still wouldn't acknowledge him. So to vent his frustration, he started training with the second diagram that seemed to form his energy into armor. The scene switches to King Shanghuang being visited by a man named Lan, who informs him that Qin Dai will soon undergo a level-up trial. The news made Shanghuang worried. He was afraid that Qin Dai would succeed in leveling up. The Chu kingdom had always had an advantage over the Qin kingdom because they had 2 level 3 warriors compared to Qin, who only had 1 level 3. But if Qin Dai managed to level up, it would mean that the Qin kingdom would have 2 people with level 3 cultivation, Qin Dai and Feng. It would equal Chu and Qin's strength, making it difficult for Shanghuang to destroy Qin. So to prevent his fears from becoming a reality, Shanghuang enlisted the help of the 2 brothers who had reached level 3, Wu Dai and Wu Xing. He even went straight to them and gave them a small bottle which, whatever the contents, was able to get the 2 brothers to agree to his request. He also prepared 4 assassins to assist them in killing Qin Dai. While Shanghuang is busy devising his plans, Qin Yu continues to carry out his mission as an assassin to kill bad people. And now he had even mastered the 3rd diagram, which gave him armor resistant to the opponent's attacks. One night, the eye patch woman informs Qin Yu of someone who wants to see him, and that person turned out to be the old man in black robes who wanted to ask him for help to escort the king of Qin Dai on his journey to level up. Currently, Qin Yu has not revealed to anyone that he works as an assassin, so he accepted the mission without taking off his mask because he knew that if his father realized that the assassin hired to protect him was none other than his own son, he would send him home. After everything was ready, his party set out for the location where he would cultivate. On this occasion, Qin Yu brought Xiaohe with him, even though he hid the bird from the others, because he wanted to hide his identity. After a long journey, they decided to spend the night in a city. They did need to rest that night because the next day, they would pass through the boundless desert, a dangerous area filled with monsters. Because of that, Qin allowed Qin Yu, the assassin, to withdraw from the mission if he wished. Qin would not blame him if he decided so because the journey they were about to go through was indeed very dangerous. However, Qin Yu refused to back down. He was very happy to accompany Qin, even though he had to disguise himself as an assassin. So he tried to calm Qin and told him that this trip, despite the dangers, was very useful for testing his strength. He wouldn't even regret if he had to die on their way. The next day, the group continued their journey, and this time they walked through the boundless desert. They continued until they finally arrived at their destination, the Qinglian Mountains. And once they got there, Qin asked Feng to find a suitable place for his meditation. Feng then directed them to a cave, where he released his Linki to create 8 diagrams that could absorb the energy of heaven and earth. With it, he could create a barrier for Qin while he was cultivating, which could not only protect him from attacks but also from disturbing noises. With the preparations completed, Qin can begin the ritual. Here, Feng asked the rest of the party to protect him while meditating, but they were forbidden to help him as he went through the 49 obstacles, which took the form of powerful lightning strikes. After that, Feng ended his instructions by giving them a seal to prevent them from being exposed to illusions if enemies attacked. Not long after, a tremendous thunderbolt began to strike, but they can still be calm. The shield that Feng made was still able to withstand it. However, at the same time, Wu Xing, and the 4 assassins arrived at Qinglian Mountain, and they knew where they could find their assassination target after seeing that lightning strike. On the other hand, Qin finally managed to get past the first lightning strike thanks to the help of the shield created by Feng, but unbeknownst to him, Chu's assassination squad had reached the top of the cave, where they were observing him, waiting for the right moment to attack him. Wu knew there would be 4 lightning strikes in the test, and they would attack Qin during the second. Thus, as soon as the lightning struck again, they all jumped in unison to attack Qin and his group. And without much difficulty, Wu Xing managed to destroy Feng's barrier. Seeing their arrival, Feng created the illusion of holding back the 4 assassins, which Qin Yu immediately took advantage of to kill 2 of them. But his actions were seen by Wu Xing, who then attacked him in retaliation. However, even though the enemy was about to attack him, Qin Yu refrained from using his Linki weapon for fear of exposing his identity. Luckily, the 5 king guards could protect him from Wu Xing's attack. Meanwhile, Wu fought Feng, who, according to him, was still far behind in strength. But to his surprise, Feng could keep up with his strength. And his surprise grew even more after Feng and the 5 king guards took out their Linki weapons, which were said to be able to kill even level 3 people. But moments later, the 3rd lightning bolt was ready to strike, causing Qin Yu and the others to worry about Qin, who was no longer protected by the barrier. Fortunately, Qin could withstand the lightning strike using his Linki sword. Seeing that, Qin Yu breathed a sigh of relief. He could now concentrate fully on the 2 assassins who had escaped the illusion. And even better, Ji came to his aid, so he only had to fight 1 assassin while Ji faced the other. After fighting, Qin Yu finally managed to kill the assassin. But the case was different with Ji. He is powerless against his opponent. He could even have been strangled to death if he had not slashed his sword into his opponent's stomach. Now in pain, the assassin then threw Jay at Qin, forcing him to stop his meditation so he could check on Jay's condition. But unexpectedly, Jay instead attacked Qin. It turned out that he was a spy from the Chu kingdom who had infiltrated Qin long ago. Seeing his father injured, Qin Yu rushed to his aid, but the assassin tried to stop him by blowing himself up, hoping he would be killed along with the explosion. Gay laughed happily at the explosion, thinking Qin Yu had died from it, but his guess was wrong because Qin Yu was still alive. He quietly approached the old traitor from behind before killing him. Meanwhile, the 4th bolt of lightning had been seen, along with the appearance of a dragon from the sky. Qin knew the dragon was after him, and so, to fight the dragon, he used an ancestral dragon technique. As the name implies, he can summon dragons too, with that technique. Thus, the 2 dragons clashed. Their clash of energies was so powerful that it shattered the cave. After that, Qin continued his meditation. Long story short, Qin managed to advance to the 3rd level. Then he and Qin Yu fought Wu Xing and managed to kill him, although he was stabbed by Wu Xing's weapon. After Wu Xing died, Qin Yu's Assassin's Creed cosplay costume suddenly disappeared for some reason, and Qin De finally found out that the assassin he hired was his own son. But now Qin Yu was seriously injured, and he fainted in front of Qin De after bidding him farewell. Qin De was devastated to see that. He burst into tears as he hugged him. While father and son were fighting Wu Xing, Feng faced Wu De, but he failed to defeat him. Instead, he let Wu De attack Qin De with his ice dragon. But at this moment, Xiao He suddenly came and chased the dragon away, knocking it down. But then, a golden light suddenly appeared from the sky and enclosed them all within. Here, Xiao He saves Qin De again. He pushed him out before the golden light could encircle them. At this moment, Qin De saw Wu De, who for some reason chose to run away rather than finish off his target. Regardless, Qin De was now furious. He vowed to destroy the king of Chu and Wu De, who had killed his wife and youngest son. With this, the first season of Stellar Transformation is complete. The moral that can be learned from this anime is if you want to become stronger, wait for a red, glowing meteor rock to fall on a cliff. You likely won't get stronger after getting the meteor stone, but who knows? Maybe you will be as lucky as the main character in this anime. If you want to see the next part, hit that like button, drop a comment saying next part, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.